So one of our viewers reached out with this concern.
All right, so my kids are complaining. They say I make the same thing every night.
Sis, the first thing you need to know is that you're not alone. Most moms are challenged by what to make for dinner, including me.
So I've been on a mission to try to find some different things that they'll like. Tonight, I'm trying lamb stew. The reason ground lamb was on sale. Let's get started. Apparently, this recipe should take all of 30 minutes.
So the basis for my recipe came from an online site called Savory Experiments. Their recipe is under quick and easy lamb stew. I made so many changes to the ingredients, it's not really the same recipe anymore. Let's walk through their ingredients and I'll tell you the modifications I made and why. So for example, I left out the onion because I never use onion. It causes inflammation and digestive issues. I used chicken stock instead of vegetable stock. I used 3 sprigs of thyme instead of 2. I used 3 bay leaves instead of 1. I used a bunch of chopped celery. I nixed the canned tomatoes for some chopped fresh ones. And while the recipe said you could use white wine or lemon juice, I decided to use both.
And I'm adding a couple of other things. Now they say you can use lentils, but I think this Trini chickpea curry pack will give it a nice zing. So I'm adding that. And then because I want the kids to eat more vegetables, I'm going to add broccoli and carrots. I'll probably chop it up a little more, but I'll be adding this. I'm also going to take the liberty of adding chicken flavor bouillon. So sometimes it comes in cubes or sometimes you can get it in a jar like this. I have both, but this allows a little more control. So if I don't want a whole lot or a whole cube of the bouillon, then what I'll do is I'll use this and kind of monitor how much I add.
For a little heat, I added crushed red pepper as well. I will include my modified version of this quick and easy lamb stew down in the description.
And since I'll be chopping, I need my cutting board. So I'll have that. Now I already chopped up one of the potatoes, but I'm going to do the next one. For those of you who don't have a potato peeler, you need to get one. This is magic. When I was growing up, we never had one of these, and so I would find myself taking forever to peel a potato. This right here is heaven, and that's it. This is my everything knife. I do everything with this little knife. Quickly chop this up. And that's it for that. I also need the celery chopped up, so while I have my everything knife and my cutting board, I might as well chop this up as well. As small as possible, just so they'll cook faster. Now I'm going to chop up the green pepper. Now the recipe did not say to add broccoli and carrots. I'm just doing that on my own. I think you never have enough broccoli and carrots. What I like about broccoli and carrots is that they take on the flavor of what they're cooked in. So you don't really have to worry about them changing the taste of what you're making. And yet, supposed to chop these tomatoes as well. So if you're looking for something to make quick, that's healthy and tasty, this lamb stew should do the trick.
Hey sis, we know you've been watching Mommy Room Redo content, but you have yet to subscribe. So let's change that right now.
All right, so this is hot. I turned it down a little bit. I turned the stove down a little bit just because it just seemed to be popping a little too much. I opened this pack with my everything knife, but I always open the meat last so that nothing gets contaminated. So that's the ground lamb. It's 1 pound of natural ground lamb.
Wanted to point a couple things out. First, we did add the olive oil in the pan and let it heat up before we put the ground lamb in. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Also, notice to my left, there's a bowl and a paper towel. And that's sitting there because after 5 to 7 minutes, we will take that lamb out and sit it in that bowl and let some of that grease drip off.
I'm using a plastic utensil just so I don't scrape any metal into my dish. And as you see, the lamb is really greasy. You see all the grease that comes out of the lamb. So that's why you don't put this directly into your stew. You make sure you put it on a paper towel and let some of this grease release from it first. All right, so it's 6 minutes right now. And I'm going to start taking out our lamb. Just trying to make sure it's completely brown. But you don't want to overcook lamb because it changes the taste of it. We're at 7 minutes. Trying not to put so much oil away. So that's why you see me do that. All right, so now I've rinsed off the garlic. Like I told you, they always ask you to chop it up in small pieces. But I don't because I don't like biting on garlic, and I always pull the garlic out when the dish is almost finished. So I just put them in whole like this. The next items I'm going to add are the pieces that take longer to cook, like the peppers, the potatoes, and the celery. So I'm adding that next. Now remember, you don't wash the pan. You just take out the lamb and then you put the other items in to get some of the flavor from the lamb as well. And sometimes I'll keep the garlic on one side of the pan just so it'll be easier for me to pick out. Do this for 3 to 4 minutes on a lower simmer. So I'm going to turn the stove down a little bit. And just kind of let this simmer for 3 to 4 minutes. Again, I'm watching the clock. Just so I don't waste any time unnecessarily. So it's at the 3-minute mark. I'm gonna add my pack of Trini chickpea curry. Now this is pre-packaged, so I totally understand if you don't want to use something like this. I just know that it gives food an awesome flavor, but I wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to go the pre-packaged route. So you could always just use lentils in a bag. I saw them in the supermarket. I just love to cook with this. I think it's a lot more tasty. It's cheating because it comes with its own flavors, but I just love the way this makes things taste. I get this from Harris Teeter. It's called Trini chickpea curry. Now I'm putting in the chicken stock. If this was a vegetarian dish, then I would use the vegetable stock, but it's not, so. The recipe says 3 cups. I just estimate how I feel. I also put the sprigs of thyme in there. I put about 3 sprigs. The recipe says a ½ tablespoon of black pepper. I then add 3 bay leaves. 3 bay leaves. And this is what that is. The recipe says to use salt, but as I said, I'm going to use the chicken flavored bouillon. I think this will give it a better flavor. Now I'm going to add the carrots, the broccoli, and the tomato. This is my own ad, so I don't know how it's going to taste. And I'm going to let this simmer on high for about 10 minutes. I don't have any tops, so I'm going to use this plate. Perhaps when my channel becomes monetized, I'll be able to afford a new pots and pan set. But in the meantime, I'll just put this plate on and let it simmer. And I'm going to be using ancient grains, millet, sorghum, amaranth with wheat berries and turmeric. I use turmeric on everything. And this is just for me, but I wanted something to pour the stew over, so I'm going to use this. You can microwave it for 90 seconds, but since I gotta wait for the stew anyway, and a microwave is not all that good for you, I'm just going to make it in a pot. You just pour the contents of this package into 2 tablespoons of water and heat for 4 minutes. So we definitely have 4 minutes. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. So that's what we're working with in terms of the stew. Doesn't that look great? And it looks like a stew too, doesn't it? So now I'm going to add the lamb. Mix it in. And now I'm going to let it simmer for another 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so this is how it looks after you add the lamb and let it simmer for another 4 to 5 minutes. As one of the last steps, you add some red pepper flakes. You don't want to put too much or you won't be able to eat it. Then you'd add a 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese. I just add as much as I want. Then they say you add 2 tablespoons of white wine or lemon juice. I add both. And you don't add the wine or the lemon juice until you're ready to serve it, which I'm getting ready to eat right now. So I'm going to take my grains and put them at the bottom of the dish. And then I'm going to put my stew on top of the grains. Doesn't that look delightful? Oh my goodness, it looks so good. It looks good.
And now for our question of the day. How much meat and poultry should we eat per day? A, 2 to 4 ounces, B, 3 to 5 ounces, C, 5 to 7 ounces, D, 7 to 9 ounces, or E, 1 pound. Type your response down in the comments.
It's time to taste. It's time to taste. Well, it smells amazing. And let's see how it tastes. It tastes amazing. This is wonderful. This is delightful. My kids have got to love this. Now, in all honesty, the only thing I wasn't crazy about were the grains when I made them separately and tasted it, but in here, it's fine. So hopefully my kids will appreciate the effort. But their mama is eating really well right now. It's amazing. All right, so let's me finish straightening up, which I don't have much to do because I was cleaning up as I was cooking. But the real reason I want to wrap this up is I need to get back to that lamb stew. So thanks for tuning in, and please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Take care.